And Tim McMillan from 9 News on the phone. How are you, mate?
I'm all right, thanks, mate. Happy that it's Friday.
Yes, it's they come around so fast, don't they? Can you believe we are already halfway through August?
I know,
Wow.
It's crazy, isn't it?
It's
But
madness.
also only a couple of weeks of winter left to go, so that's a good thing. I do enjoy my summer months.
When do you start doing your Christmas shopping? Because it was just last week actually.
Boxing Day?
Yeah, me too. It was just a few days ago when the first time around the office people were talking about doing Christmas shopping. I'm like, is it that
is
time
ridiculous,
already?
Isn't it?
Oh my
It's
god!
crazy.
Yeah, I'm a
I try not to buy into the whole. It's overkill, isn't it? Every year Christmas. I don't mean to sound like the Christmas Grinch or anything, but
yeah.
there are elements of Christmas that I absolutely loathe.
Yeah, I know what you mean. And present buying is one of those for me. I'm a Christmas Eve night shopper. Christmas Eve night.
Exactly. Yeah.
All the leftover stuff that no one else wanted.
Yeah, I don't mind stuffing my face with heaps of good food. That's the bit I enjoy.
Yeah, the lunchtime Christmas, that's all right. Anyway, all this Christmas talk. Robin Williams, how sad is this situation? I didn't see this coming.
No, but then I suppose when you take a step back and look at his past, his battles, and his recent relapse, it's perhaps not a massive surprise. Of course, he had a long-standing battle with addiction to cocaine and alcohol, and as we know, had depression issues as well. And we have been hearing that he recently was back on the booze, and that was causing him problems. He's done another stint in rehab fairly recently. Also, interestingly, overnight, his wife, Susan Schneider, has released a statement saying that he had recently also found out that he was in the early stages of Parkinson's disease. He wasn't ready to go public with that news at the time of his passing, but you would have to imagine that was one of the things that was weighing heavily on his mind and might have convinced him to take that ultimate step to end his life. But no, shocking news. And you talk to people, everyone's got a favourite Robin Williams movie, and hard to find someone who hasn't seen at least a couple of his movies. He leaves behind some great movie moments and TV moments, that's for sure.
Yeah, I love, personally for me, it's not so much the movies that I love of him. I mean, they're great, but his stand-up, I think, is just out of control, out of this world. I love it.
Oh, yeah, he was quite a unique guy, wasn't he? Those it was fun watching those sort of talk show interviews that he did too, just looking at the absolute terror on the talk show host face, going, I have no idea what's going to happen here.
Yeah, no, he was great. Comedy legend has gone. All right, Cliff Richard, this is, we woke up to this news this morning. Cliff Richard is the latest celebrity under bad allegations. Yeah,
that's right. Look, it's early stages at the moment, but and he was out of the country when police arrived at his London flat. They were obviously searching for anything relating to an alleged incident decades ago that involved a boy under the age of 16. So Cliff Richard has released a statement. He's actually holidaying in Portugal, I think, at the moment. Released a statement really vehemently denying any wrongdoing and saying that he'll cooperate with police. So, gosh, another celebrity in the spotlight, Sir Cliff Richard, as he is now in England, revered now for a long, long time there. So, they just seem to take in turns, don't they, at the moment? Celebrities ending up in the courts, as I say, early stages in this one, though. At the moment, it's just an allegation.
Yeah, but you know what? It's that's all it takes. People see him in a bad light only because of this moment. It's
absolutely
terrible.
Yep.
The rail link from Perth to the airport, this will come in very handy.
It'd save a lot of people an expensive taxi ride and some even more expensive parking out there.
Absolutely.
All the annoyance of having to ask someone for a lift out there. The government saying that it's going to sink the rail line, which will come at a cost, and that cost initially put down at about 1.9 billion has now blown out to 2.2, although the opposition is saying that Treasury hasn't even costed that yet, so that figure may blow out even more. So $2.2 billion with our state debt the way it is, well into the $20 billion figure. Can we afford it? That's a question I suppose politicians will have to ask and decide for themselves. So, look, I don't think you'd find too many people who would argue against some sort of public transport link to the airport.
Very true.
It's it's a great idea, and most big cities do have public transport links of some kind or another. Melbourne being one of the obvious exceptions to that rule. But, yeah, look, it'd be great to have it, but whether it should be above ground or below ground, which does come with a heftier price tag, I suppose the politicians will thrash that one out. It'll no doubt be an ongoing issue, though, for politicians to argue over, so I'll have to see how that one plays out. Don't expect to be catching a train at the airport anytime soon. The original completion date of 2018 has been pushed back to 2020, so...
Speaking of...
Who knows what conversations we'll be having between now and then.
Yeah, speaking of politicians, Joe Hockey, big mouth Joe Hockey's got himself into a bit of trouble.
Speaking of transport issues, Joe Hockey, you reckon if you were Tony Abbott, who's been across in Holland and the UK this week holding high-level talks about Iraq and talking about the MH17 disaster, you'd be reading the papers going, why, Joe, why? He's come out during the week and said... look, this is all around the discussion about a fuel excise. They're looking at, as part of their tough budget measures, indexing the fuel excise twice yearly, which would basically mean, the fuel excise would rise, and of course, proportionally, it hits low-income earners more so than high-income earners. But Joe Hockey's response to that was to say that, well, poor people don't have cars, and those that do don't drive very far anyway. So it is going to affect higher income earners more because they have more cars and they drive further. So that on the back of, footage of him chomping down a cigar with Matthias Cormann and supposedly doing a little dance on the night of his tough budget in a moment of celebratory release, shall we say.
Yeah.
He's not playing the very smart politician right now, you'd have to say,
No.
Joe Hockey. The opposition, welfare groups, unions, you name it, they've all absolutely jumped on Joe Hockey for this one. In his hometown of Sydney, having lived there, I can tell you, those people who do it tough predominantly live out in the outer western suburbs of Sydney, and mate, they spend hours of their lives in their cars trying to get to to the bigger towns, if it's not just Sydney, but places like Parramatta and others as well. Mate, they spend a long time in their cars, so I don't know how that argument really holds up.
Yeah, he's definitely made a mistake there. Anyway, something a bit lighter. How about this 5-legged sheep? I haven't actually seen the sheep, but I've heard about it, and this is in WA
I know,
too.
it's one of those wacky things, isn't it? It came about by pure freak of nature. And it you have to kind of see it, but there's the fifth leg is just sort of hanging there really.
I was going to ask, yeah.
It doesn't look like it takes a lot of weight.
Wow.
But there have been 5-legged sheep born before. There was one born in the UK a while back. Interestingly, it became known as Jake the Peg.
Oh, yes. I was going to say they call it Jake.
That name now, of course, has been sullied somewhat with the demise of Rolf Harris.
Yes.
Jake the Peg's name now probably wouldn't use in a more humorous circumstance like this. There was one born in New South Wales about 5 years ago too that I came across, and believe it or not, that fifth leg actually was growing out of its head, which just sounds...
Weird place for a leg to grow.
Too weird. This one was born at a property in Broome Hill here in WA. As I say, thankfully this leg is kind of where the other legs are, so it doesn't look that bizarre. In fact, when you see it sort of running around, you almost have to look twice. It almost looks like an optical illusion. But no, there is a fifth leg there. We were wondering about a name the other day. Shanks was the obvious one.
Yeah.
But, Barry or something like that.
Yes. I don't know. All I can think of is
Stew. I thought Stew was nice.
Stew. I just can't get Jake the Peg out of my head for some reason. I just can't get Jake the Peg with his
mate,
extra
you've got to
leg.
move on from Jake the Peg.
I know.
That name's tarnished forever now.
Yeah. All right. We'll catch you on the news again tonight, 6 o'clock, 9 News. Tim McMillan. Thank you, buddy.
Thanks, mate. Have a good weekend.